before the skies roared with the thunder of drones and bombers, before missiles screamed across continents. One weapon ruled supreme: giant warships. These steel leviathans weren't just ships. They were floating fortresses, symbols of power, and sometimes instruments of destruction. Among these titans, one stood taller, prouder, and deadlier than the rest. A ship so massive and formidable that its very name struck fear into enemies and filled allies with awe: the Yamato. The world's largest battleship ever built, Yamato was Japan's answer to dominance in the Pacific. But was this marvel of engineering a triumph or a tragic mistake? Let's dive into its incredible story. The early 20th century marked Japan's rise as a global power. With dreams of expansion, the Imperial Navy had one mission: outclass the American fleet. But how could they compete against a force that had more ships, more men, and more resources? Their solution? Build ships so large, so powerful, and so advanced that they could destroy multiple enemy vessels in a single encounter. The Yamato would be the crown jewel of this ambitious plan. Construction began in November 1937 at a top-secret shipyard in Hiroshima. Japan went to extraordinary lengths to ensure no prying eyes would discover their masterpiece. Entire sections of the dock were covered with massive canopies, and workers swore oaths of secrecy. What they were building was no ordinary ship. Let's talk about the numbers. At 862 feet long and 127 feet wide, Yamato was longer than 3 football fields. She weighed a staggering 70,000 tons with a draft of 37 feet. A special 350-ton crane had to be installed just to handle her construction. But what truly set Yamato apart was her engine. With 12 steam boilers generating 150,000 horsepower, this beast could sail at an impressive speed of 27.5 nautical miles per hour. Imagine the power beneath those steel decks. And then there were her guns, the stuff of legends. Yamato was armed with 9 main cannons, each with a diameter of 18.1 inches, the largest ever mounted on a warship. These colossal weapons could fire 1.5-ton shells over a distance of 35 kilometers. Let that sink in. That's the equivalent of launching a small car over 20 miles with pinpoint accuracy. For air defense, she carried 80 anti-aircraft guns, ready to unleash hell on any plane foolish enough to approach. Yamato entered service during a time of chaos. In December 1941, just days after Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor, Yamato was commissioned into the Imperial Navy. By May 1942, she was deployed in the Midway operation, one of the most pivotal battles in the Pacific theater. But here's the twist. Yamato, despite her might, wasn't used as Japan intended. For much of the war, she sat idle, anchored at Chuk Lagoon, a heavily fortified base. Why? Because even the Japanese knew that sending her into battle recklessly could spell disaster. It wasn't until the final months of the war that Yamato was called into action. Desperation had gripped Japan, and the once proud ship was reduced to a supply transport. Can you imagine? The world's most powerful battleship, reduced to a glorified cargo vessel. Then came March 19, 1945. The U.S. Navy struck a Japanese base at Kyoto. Yamato survived with only minor damage, a single torpedo hit. But the clock was ticking. Just weeks later, the Americans launched an assault on Okinawa, and Yamato was sent on a mission that would seal her fate. On April 7, 1945, Yamato, accompanied by a small fleet, sailed into the East China Sea. Their mission? A desperate one-way attack on the American fleet near Okinawa. The Japanese called it Operation Tengo. Yamato's crew knew this was a suicide mission, but they went anyway. At 12:32 p.m., the U.S. Navy unleashed its wrath. 280 American warplanes descended upon Yamato and her escorts. Bombs and torpedoes rained down in waves. Yamato fought back with everything she had, firing her anti-aircraft guns in every direction. But it wasn't enough. Torpedo after torpedo slammed into her hull. Bombs tore through her decks. The ship that had been built to withstand anything was now taking on water, listing dangerously to one side. By 2:20 p.m., it was over. A massive explosion in Yamato's ammunition store created a mushroom cloud that rose 6 kilometers into the sky. The pride of the Japanese Navy sank to the bottom of the East China Sea, taking over 4,000 crew members with her. Decades later, in 1985, divers discovered Yamato's wreckage at a depth of 1,200 feet. Even in death, this ship remains a symbol of Japan's naval ambitions and its ultimate sacrifice. So, what happened? Why did Yamato, the mightiest battleship ever built, fail to turn the tide of the war? The answer lies in the evolution of warfare. By the time Yamato set sail, the era of the battleship was already over. The skies had become the new battleground, with aircraft carriers and bombers rewriting the rules of war. A single plane could do what an entire fleet once did. Yamato, for all her size and firepower, was a relic of a bygone era. Today, warships are no longer built for size. Instead, they're designed for stealth, speed, and cutting-edge technology. Hypersonic missiles, advanced torpedoes, and precision strikes have made massive ships like Yamato vulnerable. Nations now prioritize efficiency over grandeur, but Yamato's legacy lives on. She was more than just a warship. She was a testament to human ambition, ingenuity, and resilience. A reminder of a time when nations placed their hopes and fears on the decks of steel giants. The Yamato may lie silent beneath the waves, but her story continues to inspire, intrigue, and warn us about the cost of war. Thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed this dive into history, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Mysterious World for more fascinating stories. Until next time, stay curious.